Alright, moving right along. No dilly, no dally. We are officially at number 12, the Trapper. And this is the start of the B tier. And for just a quick reminder, the B tier is killers that can actually win with their power as opposed to killer fundamentals. You can start effectively closing down chases with your power a bit more consistently. And you can start actually, like, winning games you might not win as other killers lower than him with this character. So we're officially moving to a stronger section of killers. Number 12, Trapper. On my last tier list, I rated Trapper extremely low due to his reasoning being that the early game was super hard to set up and you don't see his benefits everywhere around the map. This is a basic summary of why I had him so low. I have come to the conclusion that this analysis was pretty bad. And the reason that I have come to this conclusion is because the fact that you can just shut down so many strong locations with him is never something to be underestimated. The fact that this character can just be very strategic and very smart about what he does, and then you just don't have to, like, chase people, and, like, just it's very interesting how fast a game can turn around with, like, just one or two good traps. The fact that you can get a lot of momentum back that you may even potentially lose, and it, like, even, like, before, like I said, like, other characters get downs before you start doing things. I think if you start even applying that to Trapper, he can get even better. Start slowing the game down with downs. Never force anything. Just start your pressure kind of as you would a different killer, but, like, you know, trap ruin, obviously, and then, like, you know, don't do anything too stupid. Set some traps up, but, like, start slowing down the gen rush. You know, apply pressure when you see fit. Just trap the stronger locations. They'll go to them. You know, just trap a few pallets that you see at the beginning just to get some board pressure started. Well, we have some very good map control here. Just let the flow of the game, just let the game naturally flow. Don't fight your instincts when you play this character. Just, you know, just go to the first thing you see. Just start your board pressure slow. Slow down the game. Just to do things interchangeably. He requires a lot of multitasking and a lot of, like, effective, like, balancing between them. Should I set a trap now or should I attack a survivor now? When do I leave him alone? When do I not? But once you get him going, dude, he still does have that early game weakness, and traps can be disarmed. You know, if they read you. You could argue that it has a lot to do with survivor mistakes, but, you know, I don't really know if that holds up a lot. Because, like, it can be hard to see the traps sometimes. So there's really not a lot of counterplay to his power when you're actually running from him. A lot of the counterplay from Trapper's power comes from noticing the traps, like, when you're not being chased. Because, like, sometimes there's a situation where a Trapper can force a vault and then there's just nothing they can do. If there's a trap there, they're absolutely fucked. And I think that is one of the more interesting things about his power, because, like, the fact it kind of guarantees a punish. Now, the one thing this character, the other thing this character is lacking in is movement, and the fact that his traps they can be easily escaped. They can be inconsistent at times, just with, like, certain situations they might not give you the benefit that, you know, Hag's traps give her. But, like, if you're there to capitalize on stuff, dude, they can definitely give you even more benefits than hers. But, you know, I still think this character has a worse early game than Hag, and I think Hag has other stuff that makes her better than him. I think Hag is an improvement on the Trapper formula, but the fact that Trapper is effective. He's effective, and I think a lot of people rate him even higher than this. I just think his ability to get gen rushed is something that you can't really leave out of any analysis of this character. But, like, definitely not as bad as I had him at before. He's still definitely better than he's definitely better than everybody below him. And his power is definitely more effective at winning games than everybody below him because of the fact it can actually win you games. It can help you down survivors. It can help you apply fast pressure. This power can do that. It has the ability to do that when used correctly and in the hands of somebody that can really play it effectively. That can push survivors the right directions. And this character's ability to snowball, he may have a hard early game to set up, but if you can snowball with his power, which is very possible to do, it's very, very easy to get that time back. 1 or 2 big plays can easily get you the time back that you spent when you were snowballing. But the one or two quick downs can easily snowball you back up the time that you've lost. That's what I left out. That's why I didn't give enough credit to Trapper's ability to get that time back. Because yes, he sacrifices that time, but the fact is he has potential to get that time back. That time isn't just gone. It requires a lot of skillful pushing of the survivors to the right locations, eye on the generators where everything's spawning. You know, it requires a good eye for the game, but it can be done. And 115 is very basic, very easy to fall back on. And so, like, again, while he can deal with locations that a lot of killers can. Like, Trapper's already a better anti-looper than Clown, because if Trapper has a trap at a loop, the survivor straight up cannot go there. Whereas Clown, they can still challenge him a little bit. That's why Trapper's definitely better than Clown. Which was before where I said Clown was better than Trapper. If Trapper has a trap at a loop, you can't challenge it unless you're injured and have dead hard. That's the only way. And that's another reason Trapper gets a little low, is the counterplay and the dead hard weakness is horrible. I honestly hope this year they fix that, and the fact that dead hard doesn't go through traps anymore. I don't like that. I think that bothers me just a little bit. But so, like, while he does have some glaring problems and glaring weaknesses, his ability, he does have ability to win, and he does have ability to snowball, and he does have things that make him a better killer than not. I definitely think this character has a lot of positive aspects about him. I'm certainly not trying to downplay him in any way, shape, or form. Just to give him something like Sloppy Butcher, you know, just like so you can help get some stuff on the board. And I think this character, you know, when he's played right, can be possibly even better than what I have here. So I'm actually probably gonna call this a moment of contention, because I've seen Trapper way higher on tier lists before. Just like, I'll keep working with him. Maybe my opinion of him will keep growing. But, you know, Trapper is very mixed for me. Some days I love him. Some days he can just not provide the best results in the entire world. But that's pretty much all I have to say about the Trapper. He is definitely getting back on my more favored list. So that would be number 12. Number 11, one of the new boys of the year, the Demogorgon. The Demogorgon, when discussing the Demogorgon, he has a lot of the things Trapper does, being that he's kind of slow to start up, but let's talk about what he has. The way Demogorgon works is, like, he has those portals, and already we have a character who is super good at patrolling the map, because we have portals and teleportation. Teleportation is an efficient concept. It's very, very efficient concept. Just because you're not that great at using it, because he's not the best at using it in this game, but teleportation in of itself is an efficient concept. The fact that we have a character that is able to go from one side of the map to the other, given the right conditions, makes his patrolling super, super good. But let's talk about what you do with Demogorgon. So the way he starts off a little slow, because he doesn't have any access to his portals. But he's got that lunge, so his lunge is able to be charged up, and he throws himself at the guy. Can force early pallet drops, giving him some utility in the chase, and in addition to that, it can also be canceled anytime you want. This is something that the devs never went over in their live stream, but you have to talk about it when you're talking about this character. Canceling this power is no commitment, and I think that's something that helps him win mind games, and it puts him in control of when he's being chased. Like, the survivors have to constantly be looking out for the roar and the lunge. They have to look out for it. And, like, again, he loses a bit of movement speed, but, like, if you know that they're like out in the open, you know, there's a lot of effective ways that you can actually use it to mind game survivors, force early pallet drop. There's a lot of things that this character can do to like cut time short in a chase. Then you factor those portals. Those portals are there for gen control. The way I use the portals and the way I think is good is you start finding what generators the survivors are doing. You get one down as fast as possible. You know, see what they're doing, see what their starting plan is. Get a portal down there, get another one, turn it on as fast as possible. Let them know that you're there. But don't like be too aggressive like with it. You gotta make sure you save portals for the end game so you can really get those end game generators. Evaluate how you're doing. Because Demogorgon once Demogorgon gets a bit of pressure on the board, the idea behind him is that he is supposed to explode and never let survivors get that momentum back. So you have to use his tools, his mind games in the lunge to get an early control and then be able to effectively control the gens. Because if those gens pop, you're fucked. He's kind of a glass cannon, if you will. He's the closest thing to a glass cannon that there is in Dead by Daylight. He's super easy to stop, but if he goes off, I mean, it's not that he's super easy to stop, because if he gets downs, and like, I think Pop Goes the Weasel is really good on him, because you have to keep track of the gen that you really want to control. You have to make sure you control certain gens. And again, this isn't necessarily a 3-gen, not necessarily. You have to make sure that the generators that you decide to put portals on don't get done, because if they get done, then your portal's going to be useless. And like, you have to make sure you save some portals for the end game, so if you're struggling with the survivors, that the last few generators on the map are able to be controlled by the portals effectively. At least 3 portals, or you have to conserve at least 3. Just make sure you can constantly be checking on them. Check on the gens. Pop Goes the Weasel to stall the gens as much as possible. But the idea is he's supposed to have some efficient gen control. You're supposed to hook somebody, barbecue chili, and then roar the track. You know, you can barbecue chili. I decide to run on him, but some people, I can see the argument for not running barbecue and chili on him. Just efficiency, just efficient patrolling, efficient gen control of Pop Goes the Weasel, because he does have good map movement, so you can easily get over there and stall gens out as long as possible. He's a character that likes to be constantly on the move and on the patrol. You never want to stay in one place as him. But like, once you've got downs, once you've got those portals out, and you can constantly be tracking the survivors, then he's hard to stop, because you got that momentum, you've gotten getting reads on them, you see what their game plan is. He's a character that when he's fully set up, he can really see what the survivors are doing and see what their game plan is. And then once he's set up, he's super hard to stop. So it's like that early game on him it's like Trapper. That's super important, but he also doesn't lose as much time as Trapper. And while he may not be as lethal, he'll definitely be more consistent with him, because he's definitely. It's interesting. I don't want to say while he may not be as lethal as Trapper is, he's also more consistent because his play at loops is definitely more consistent. So you definitely have that aspect about the character going into him. So, you know, just spread your pressure, get some downs, and like it's something that you just gotta learn. Like, it sounds really awkward on paper because a lot of killers don't have the efficient movement that he does to like control those gens, and they don't rely on the limited resources of a portal and the fact that Demogorgon can place a portal that can be taken out of the game if it's misused. So like, that's not common to killers, but like, when you figure out how to use that resource effectively, and like, that's why like you have to like wait till the generator is like also worked on. This is also why he's kind of difficult, because the generator that you want to put portals by is because like if you put a portal down by a generator that's like not working, like not going anywhere, survivors will be not very inclined to go near it because that's one that you've chosen. However, if it's one that they've chosen first and then you use it as a reaction, it's like, oh, this one is already halfway done. We kind of have to get this one down now, or we just wasted all that time. But if you get efficient downs and can keep popping it and keep pop goes the weasel, you control those generators extremely well. He can be very frustrating to keep high priority generators on lockdown. This is especially relevant at maps where you know where those high priority generators are. Like at fucking, is it Azrael's resting place, for example? You want to get that, because like that middle gen is such a high priority gen. And you know that they're going to try to get that gen done in the mid game so that the late game will be super easy and you'll be super spread out. So you know you're going to have a portal there. You know where the high priority generators are. You keep them on lockdown. And he's super good at doing that. Just have a few downs, stall the game, get those high priority gens on lockdown. Super hard to stop once he's super set up. But he's also a glass cannon. If you get those generators done before he's able to actually get started, then we can start having issues with him. He can get stopped really bad. So that's pretty much how Demogorgon works and functions. Use that bat movement, but make sure you keep those high priority gens close to you. Keep them on lockdown. Don't camp them, but keep them on lockdown. Always know where they are. Always be constantly checking and knowing what the survivors are doing. Kind of know where they're at, where their mind's at. He can see into the survivor's mind better than a lot of other killers because of how efficient his tracking is. So I think that's always been one of the most interesting things about the Demogorgon. And just the fact that you can just see so much if you use the portals correctly. Portals very, very good. Very definitely the best thing about it. And the undetectable status effect isn't even why they're good. They're good to keep high priority generators on lockdown. Okay, so I think that's all I got on your boy Demogorgon. So what was he, number 11? Now we're in the top 10. Top 10 killers, bruh. Number 10, again, this might shock some people because of how high I had him last time. I have Myers down here at number 10. To call myself a Myers main at this point is a bit not accurate because I pretty much play everybody. That I want to learn Nurse one day, but I want before I learn Nurse, I want killers to get their own ranks because I want my Nurse to be able to play people that I can actually like compete against with her, not win, mind you, but just compete against. If I play Nurse right now at rank 9, it's just not gonna rank 9 wherever I am now, 6 on the Switch. It's just not gonna work. They're gonna kick my ass. So let's talk about why Myers is here. Okay, because and before it may sound like I have a low opinion of Myers, I don't. I still think Myers is good, but I kissed his ass so much in the last one. It's kind of fitting I gotta slam into him a little bit here just to explain why I deranked him 6 places. So let's talk about Myers. Okay. They give him a buff to where he has the undetectable status effect, so he no longer has an 8-meter terror radius on Tier 1. The problem, however, is that Tier 1 is 105 movement speed, whereas opposed to Ghostface gets the straight up 115 movement speed, and the Wraith, don't even get me started on Windstorm and all that shit. Like, all the other stealth killers in this game, apart from the Pig, of course, who isn't entirely a stealth killer, but like the Pig doesn't exactly count, but the Ghostface and the Wraith can travel the map so much more effectively than Myers can in the early game, and that's a fact. The fact that they have more speed, they can cover more ground, and so Myers being so limited at Tier 1, Tier 1's an outdated concept because the idea behind Tier 1 is that they were worried that just letting Myers go ham would be too good. That's what they were worried about. So that Tier 1's kind of an outdated concept, because like I think if we were going to buff Myers, we can take Tier 1 out altogether. It's his biggest weakness as a character, and the fact that he just can't run up, he has to get this power off before he can effectively, reliably hit survivors. He might be able to get a cheesy hit at the beginning, but like, the fact is we can't actually fucking hit people effectively until we tear up. So we gotta stalk people, and stalking is not exactly easy to do on a lot of these maps. The cornfield, it sucks. You can see him coming from a mile away, which kind of defeats the purpose. That big white mask it contrasts a lot of backgrounds, so he's super easy to see coming out of a lot of locations with not a lot of structures to hide behind. And then the cornfields make it difficult. walls make it difficult. A lot of things gets in the way of stalking. And another issue with Myers is the fact that when you stalk somebody, you have to the closer you are to them, the more stalk you get. If Myers, a big buff for Myers, a huge buff for Myers would be to just even it out. Because the fact is, if you're fucking standing right behind somebody, the guy's fucking trash. Red rank survivors, you're mostly stalking from a distance, which is which is slower than normal, and that's not good. It doesn't work. It just means you're delayed your tier. So then you finally hit tier 2. You finally hit it. So you gotta start hitting people. But if you don't hit people, if you're hitting people, you're not fucking getting to tier 3, which is another thing that you need to be doing. So the fact is that Myers has a he's doing two different things at once. He's trying to reliably stalk and hit at the same time when he hits tier 2, which is taking him more out of the fucking match. Because he's not hitting you, so he's not working on downing you, he's doing something else to down you later. So he's trying to juggle these two things. And again, good Myers know when it's time to stalk and when it's time to hit. I understand that. But the fact that that character now has a limitation still, regardless of the fact that if you can get good at it or not, the fact is tier 2 Myers is still limited because his power isn't actually helping you in the chase. Then you get to tier 3 and you can finally instant down people, and then it starts helping you in the chase. The fact that Myers has to wait so long for his power to start helping him actually hurts, no matter what set of add-ons you're bringing in. The fact is you can run Fragrant Tuft of Hair and still fucking get dominated, because if two gents pop, you're still gonna fucking lose. Because if you're running Fragrant Tuft of Hair, God knows that you don't have enough time. You might be able to like get 1 or 2 downs at the most, but you have to be stalking most of the time if you want to see your full-powered character. You have to fucking be stalking. The fact is that stalking and downing people are two separate things, and that fucking sucks for him. And like another problem is that Myers isn't a full stealth killer either, because when Myers hits tier 2, he gets a 16-meter terror radius, which again, a lot of Myerses use monitor and abuse to cut it down to 8. So that's not terrible. But like the fact is that you're not a full stealth killer when you play Myers either. You don't have 0 terror radius. You still have a terror radius, and that can still come back to bite you, in some situations. So you have a terror radius, so you're not a stealth. You have to rely on getting that first hit via a subversion, which he is good at, but then you gotta get the second one, which he has no mind games to help him hide his red stain. He can't like recloak like the Wraith can to like windstorm to try to block anything or anything like that. He just has to go hit it so we can get loops super hard. Loops eat him, and that's never good. Like I know he has like a vaulting buff, but like that you're gonna really think that's helping him in the chase? Myers should. He needs to get more stuff. He needs his tiers to do more. Like, I think he should get some brutal strength add-on. Like, when he tiers up, he should get some pallet reduction, kick or stun reduction, just something to help him out in the chase, even a little bit. You don't have to give him full-on enduring. Just like when he's in tier 3, fucking 20% less of pallet stuns would be nice. Like when you get 20% of enduring, or you kick gens like maybe 5% faster. Just a little something to help him out. Because all you have is the extended lunge range and the faster vaulting speed. That doesn't help very much. Doesn't do much. It's just, and then it doesn't do anything. And like, so you're not being helped in the chase very much, and you're doing so much to set up this power that if we're talking like, it should help you in the chase. For all you're doing to set it up, it should give you a bit more benefits than it actually is giving you. So you're doing all the setup for like what, nothing? I mean, it's not nothing, but it's a power that like you'll see like what, most maybe twice, 3 times a game. And like a lot of his add-ons don't really work either, because he does have his good ones like the Fragrant Tuft of Hair and the really broken ones. But like the hair bow, I don't like the hair bow. The hair bow, like it just doesn't seem to work as much as the smaller one does. I don't know if like they're entirely like accurate with their descriptions, because it feels like when you do run the hairbow, like you have to stalk more than if you do to get the little tuft of hair working. The small one, I usually find myself running that one above like stuff like the hairbow. Like the brush, I could run sometimes too, but like movement speed while stalking, those don't do very much. Like he has some, for all of his good add-ons, he also has add-ons that kind of suck and don't do anything. So we're doing like, and then like his tier 3, another issue with tier 3 is the fact that you get one down. A lot of Myers like to run Infectious Fright, so that people near the person that was down will scream, and they get like an extra, you know, like an extra thing after they get the down. But the fact is, Myers doesn't have a lot of movement to make this happen. So like he can hit the Infectious Fright, but like odds are tier 3 is still going to go away before you actually get down. He doesn't have a map presence. The fact that he kind of has he has a good slugging game, but with no movement and no map presence, he can know where somebody is, and tier 3 can still run out before he's able to get to them. So that can be a problem. That you did all that work to set the power up. You now are getting some good benefits off it, but then it's down. But then it's done before you're able to do anything else with it, and you're able to patrol the map effectively. And the Myers will be in no position to not be able to patrol the map effectively with the fact that he has a very slow early game, and the power doesn't help in the chase as much as it should, given how much you're working to set it up. So those are the issues as a character. Don't get me wrong, he's still good, and his power can still win you games, because the fact that tier 3 pop can be deadly, and if Myers goes off, like, he can still go off pretty damn hard and still win games with his power. So, like, it will be, it's interesting to compare him to the next killer on the list, because he's not a full-on stealth killer, but he's also not a full-on, like, hard-hitting killer. Because, like, you're supposed to use his stealth to, like, help, but he's also not a full-on stealth killer, so it can still be difficult to do that. There's, like, he's not a full commitment to either option, so he's not getting the full benefits of either one, but he gets the weaknesses of both. It's extremely weird when you really think about it. Myers is one of the weirdest characters in the game. And if you're going to buff Myers, I think what we need to do is make him more like a traditional killer and not a stealth killer. Because then we can start giving his power more benefits. We can start, you know, doing that. Because he's not a full-on stealth killer. He's not. And so to like build him like one, and to say he is like one, like you can't run the Ghostface and Wraith build on Myers, because of a 16-meter terror radius isn't going to give you the benefits of the hit and run that they do. I mean, you might be, maybe you could. I would like to see, interesting if True Talent decided to try to do that. Or maybe I'll try to do it. Run the Ghostface build on Myers, see what it does. See how it works on him and how it's different. But that's where I stand on Myers now. He really went down because of the loops. And by the fact that he can't subvert as well as the other stealth killers can. Like he just has a lot of weird contradictory game design issues in there, and it's hard to explain. But he has definitely went down, which I think this is a probably more accurate position for how he actually stacks up. Just because the given complications of playing him, and the fact that you're stalking when you could be hitting somebody, there's a lot of reasons why he's here. But don't get me wrong, still a B tier, still can win. And in the hands, in the hands of a good player, he can still wreak all kinds of havoc. A B-tier killer is what he is. He has a lot of benefits, but he's also saddled with a ton of weaknesses. And I know I mainly focused on his weaknesses here, but that's because I went over his strengths a lot in my last tier list. So it's obviously I have a good opinion of the character, but I had to explain why he dropped 6 places. Not a hater, love the character. I still play him probably more than anybody else. But, you know, just that's where he is on my tier list now. Just when you play more red ranks, they can exploit those weaknesses a lot more and exploit that tier 1 to hell. Because the fact that he gets it's like Ghostface and Wraith have that huge early game advantage. Myers doesn't get that. Despite being a stealth killer, he still has a bad early game because of the fact that he's so limited. and the fact that that 105 movement speed is so damn crippling to him that they just don't have. And that, so like, that part is negated. His stealth mechanic is negated by his 105 movement speed, and his later game is like negated by the fact that he still kind of relies on being stealthy because his power doesn't have as much benefit in the chase as it should, because they are saying, well, he's a stealth killer, right? So he should fucking be able to be sneaky about what he's doing. And that's just not entirely accurate at the red ranks. At least that's how I feel when playing him, because stealth killers now have a meta, and Myers can't do it. So that's why he's not exactly a full-on stealth killer. He can't reliably get that benefit. Okay, so that was number 10, Myers. Now let's move on to number 9, the Oni. See, Oni is interesting because I was thinking about this. You can't. Oni is essentially buffed Myers. That's what he is. Let's talk about why. Like when I said buffed Myers, like I just said, buff Myers, I said in order to buff Myers, you have to make him one or the other. He can't just be a stealth killer or you need to make him more a traditional killer, because that's kind of what he is. He's a traditional killer with stealth elements not really working. Oni's buffed Myers. They made him a more traditional killer, and they separated the stalking aspect into charging up the power via hitting survivors, which works way better because his actual power is being charged up by the actual win condition of the game, which Myers is separate. The win condition of the game, which is down and hook survivors, is separated from charging his power. Oni, that's not the case. The win condition of the game is directly correlates to how you charge your power. So you get more efficient chases inherently because of that. Just because you're not having to take time to stalk. You're not having to take time to set up your power besides doing anything else than playing Dead by Daylight. Running the loops, hitting the survivors, that helps you set up your power. And that cuts out Myers' entire early game weakness because of the fact that you don't have to worry about getting rid of your weakness. The first thing that Myers' first action in a game is to eliminate his weakness, whereas Oni's first action is to immediately be accentuating his strength. That's one of the biggest differences between the two characters. Okay, so another issue with Myers, he couldn't move during Tier 3. He doesn't have a big map presence during Tier 3. Oni's equivalent in Tier 3 is Blood Rage, right? I think that's what it's called, Blood Rage. But like, Oni has Demon Dash, so he can use Demon Dash immediately upon downing somebody and then getting the Infectious Fright benefits, which Infectious Fright is actually in Oni's best build, because he knocks somebody down instantly, Infectious Fright goes off, he Demon Dashes over to them, he has enough time to instant down them before his power goes away. Which is what everybody does when they play him now, because if you pick somebody up, you lose your power. Which Myers doesn't have that, but like that doesn't matter because Oni just combines Infectious Fright and Deerstalker and creates a perfect combination. Which Deerstalker is not entirely necessary, but it's very good for beginning players. But like, you see what I'm saying here. The mobility of Myers is also improved because they gave Oni an ability to travel the map. He has the instant down benefit that Myers has, combined with the ability to travel the map, easier charge condition, easier activation condition. There is no universe where that power is worse than Myers'. He gets all the benefits that Myers gets, the instant down, with the added ability to move around the map and an easier charge. Better power, easier charge, more efficient game design. The only thing he doesn't have is the stealth, which guess what? He doesn't need it because Myers is getting like no benefit from that right now. Why the fuck would Oni need to be stealthy? Doesn't make any sense. He can still outflank and outsubvert in Demon Dash. And he can, because like, Infectious Fright can catch survivors off guard because it's not a perk that a lot of people run. Throw Monitor and Abuse on him, and you can definitely get for some subversion. That's a perk I use on Oni. It's just like to cut 8 meters off your terror radius, and you have a 16 meters, which if we're going on the original design of Myers without monitor, that's the terror radius. The dev said you should be able to start subverting people and sneaking up on them, right? 24 meter terror radius, maybe it's 32, I don't know, but the fact is, you cut off 8 meters on that terror radius, and like, that really does help. Like, monitor doesn't sound like a good perk on paper, it sounds super underwhelming, but like, it actually works. It's why a lot of people run it at high levels. Super good perk. And like, you don't believe monitor, just run it. You'll catch survivors way more off guard than you would normally. It's a super good perk. And so, that's what Oni offers. He's just buffed Myers. You don't ever need to buff Myers because Oni is in the game. Oni is what they took the best things about Myers and they buffed him. That's what it is. Like, Oni kind of combines some hillbilly aspects, some Leatherface aspects with some Myers aspects. Like, he's definitely a hybrid character. But I think he's just Myers. They took Myers' base and just added some more benefits to him. And it really brings out the best of that archetype. The charging up the power, then getting the instant down. Way better than the way Myers uses it. Way better. What's Oni's best build? Monitor and Abuse. Not Monitor and Abuse. A Hex Ruin. Deerstalker, Infectious Fright, and I don't remember True's entire build at the moment. It's super late. It's 4:47 over here, bro. Cut me some slack. But, you know, Oni can still be limited because he can still be looped. His turning can be rough, especially since the nerf. So, like, he's still a not limited character, but he can definitely do well, and his power can help you definitely to win games. His power can win you games because of how much time it can save you. And it's like, Oni's a super good killer. And so, there you go. That's all of B tier. We are now at the A tier. And the A tier characters, as we discussed before, these are characters that, like, their power is, like, even better. It's, like, less activation, less charge time, and it can still, like, give you insane benefits and help you win games. Even more efficiently than those in the B tier. So, like, better activations and, like, less counterplay to their conditions. And, like, give you even better benefits. So those are the A tier. And the first killer, A tier, number 9, the Hag. Let's talk about the Hag, bro. So Hag is here because she has a lot of the weaknesses that Trapper has, being that that's very slow early game. I think she actually has 110 movement speed, doesn't she? So she even has that additional weakness. But what she does offer is a variety of play styles and the ability to play really awkward maps for most killers extremely well. She offers that. A lot of awkward maps like Gideon Meat Plant, Larry's even. I think she does well at Larry's. Gideon Meat Plant, Larry's, the Stranger Things map. She offers the ability to play those maps effectively, which is interesting because, again, a lot of those killers like Trapper gets shut down at Gideon Meat Plant because you can easily see those traps. Whereas Hag plays those really well because of her ability to... The traps have a range that they go off of versus that one little section. And then the verticality of the map is something that Hag actually likes. Hag actually likes the verticality because it means that her range of teleportation will be a lot easier to traverse. So the verticality, which hinders a lot of killers, doesn't exactly hinder the Hag. And being random and sporadic with this character can really fuck up survivors, and it makes the traps not a mistake. That's what being random does. It makes triggering the traps an unavoidable thing versus a mistake. When you're being chased by the Hag and you're running, it makes it an unavoidable thing that the trap will get triggered. It will force a juke from the survivor. And then you can just place the traps at hooks. There is no world where a Hag doesn't want to do that. There's no reason for them to not do that. You just need to put one. So if a bad Hag can put like 6, but like there's never a world where you'll never want to not put a trap at the hook. She has teleportation, efficient mechanic, and her teleportation is kind of like even more efficient because you're teleporting directly to a survivor every single time you do it. So the only problem with her teleportation is that you can't control it. somebody has to trigger a trap first. So it can be argued that that's a survivor mistake when it happens. But again, if you're chasing a survivor, it is good for cutting stuff off. And some maps, that's even what the traps do. A lot of maps, the indoor, like Larry, she likes to run that fucking thing that makes the traps have collision instead of the teleportation. So like, there's a lot of things you can do to transform Hag's playstyle. So there's a lot of things she likes, a lot of things that are interesting on her. So she's a more transformative character than you give her credit for. I gave her credit for originally. But, 110 movement speed, she's not a good chaser. She's a very, character you have to set up and kind of set play with. And, it's like, she's not a good chaser. If you chase people with the Hag, you're going to get your ass kicked. She requires a very different type of play style. And it's something you have to master. But, once you master it, you can find it very effective. It's a very effective play style. But, Hag is a moment of contention. A lot of people, some people think she's trash, some people think she's really good. I'm of the opinion she's really good. Because of the fact that, a lot of the things that she kind of just, forces survivors to play her game in some aspects. I think Hag is one of the best, just straight up, M1 killers in the game. Killers that, don't lie. They have their basic attack. And, Hag can use killer mind games, but those trap mind games are, how you win with this character. Killer mind games don't make you a good Hag. You have to, actually play the Hag's game to win. Because that's how you... Because that's what's going to help you move around the map faster. You're going to get the most reward out of this character when you play her game the way she wants to play it. Versus if you just play running around like another character. You will definitely not do as well. Just because of what she likes, and it's effective too. It's not bad. If you play, playing the Hag's game is definitely something you kind of want to be doing because of the fact it can be so effective. Effective movement means just you have more knowledge of what's going on around the map, and she's just efficient. That's the best way that I can describe her. She's just an efficient character, and she has a lot of potential to keep gens on lockdown, have information on multiple survivors at a time, and coordinate her next play accordingly. What a weird sentence. But she has a lot of potential to just know the map and know what's going on, and then isolate it based on the needs of the moment. She's very good at that. And I think that's something a lot of people don't understand about her. But she is kind of hard. She's at the bottom of A tier because she does have that hard flashlight counter, and there is ways around her stuff in that poor early game because she has to get set up. She has to get her board set up. There's still some things that limit her to make her almost a B tier character. But I think a top level Hag, with using her to the fullest extent of her power, she is an A tier character, and that's why she's at the bottom of A tier. Number 8, the Hag. Alright. Number 7. I have Dead by Daylight's hottest topic. And now I'm going to give this a moment of contention right now because a lot of people don't agree with what's going on with Wraith, and then a lot of people do believe what's going on with Wraith. I actually do believe what's going on with Wraith. I think Wraith has easily become one of the best killers in this game. However, he admittedly doesn't have enough results yet. We are still working with him, and we're still figuring out this new idea. So, again, it's not a complicated idea. It's something we've been working with before. But Wraith's potential is still being proven in the community right now. Although, I have seen enough to warrant this character getting an A tier position. I've definitely seen enough to be convinced. From both true talent and, just some other people that are picking him up. Just random, playing him myself. Just watching the effective build that's coming off, just watching the character get played and watching it get analyzed. It's funny, man. Just 6 months ago, Wraith was dog shit, but now we're really taking advantage of his strengths. The fact that he's good at subverting survivors, the fact that you can use even yellow add-ons to confuse survivors, trick them, and just take advantage of things like Windstorm. Windstorm's really finding a place now because now you get that effective map control with no bell or a very weird bell So like constantly throw SWFs off. The buff for Object of Obsession doesn't work on him anymore. Extremely helped him out. And yes, he may have to run the loops, but he may theoretically have to run the loops. But again, if you play the hit and run tactic with him, you have enough thing with Windstorm and the Bone Clapper to like completely ignore the bell and like hide, just ding ding behind something, no bell, you run up, bam, free hit, and your nurse is calling to catch them while they're healing. Like you can actively subvert with this character because he can catch survivors off guard pretty much at all times. And like the interesting thing about him is he doesn't have a recharge rate on that bell. Whereas Ghostface kind of has to like recharge Night Shroud every single time he gets out of it. This is something that's very interesting with it, because the fact that he can just go in and out of the bell whenever he doesn't want an SWF to know where he is, he can instantly do it. Whereas Ghostface kind of has to sit out of Night Shroud for at least a little bit. So that's something I think Wraith debatably has over Ghostface. And like 190% movement speed with some add-on combinations, getting accused of hacks. This character has definitely, the strengths of this character have definitely been identified and are now being put to extremely good use with this hit and run technique that True Talent has developed. I don't know if it's going to stay in the game. I'm worried that they're going to fucking nerf the Wraith in 2020. That's the state of Dead by Daylight right now, ladies and gentlemen. But it's very good. It's very good that we've taken a character that's not known for being the greatest and brought him up to viability. And so I think the Wraith personally might even be higher, and that I think his potential is even higher than what it is right here. But I've decided to just, for right now, keep him at the number 7 spot. Because I think we're here. Yeah, I'm jumping the gun on this one, dude. I want to get Wraith on the high position before anybody else does. It's interesting, dude. It's extremely interesting to see like just how like this character has been in the game since it came out, and we are just now discovering what he's very good at and what he's good at doing. And like, the thing is, okay, what's his build? Thanatophobia, Nurse's Calling, Hex Ruin, and Sloppy Butcher. These perks have been in the game for a very long time, so this combination of ideas was theoretically possible for a very long time, and we're only now discovering it. So, Wraith's future is it's only going up, dude. But I went ahead and moved Wraith up just a lot of places. Probably the Wraith and Freddy biggest growth of the year, just in terms of how much better they've gotten because of what the new killer meta is for Wraith specifically. The subversion, not running the loops, not doing it. Don't give in to the survivors. Play your game, not their game. To chase is to lose. As True Talent says, to chase is to lose. So who are the killers that don't have to do that? The ones that can actively subvert or lethality gods. And the Wraith is one of the best in the game at fucking active subversion. So that's really what he has going for him in the future. And I think if we work on Wraith, and if Wraith doesn't get nerfed and we work on him as much as we have in like the past 3 or 4 weeks, if we get like 2 months, this character will be S. Well, I mean, not that big. But like, he can definitely become a top 5 character if this keeps up at the rate that it's happening at the moment. It's a simple but effective playstyle, and we'll talk about it more when we can go over Ghostface. So that would be Wraith at number 7. Number 6, we have the biggest fucking leap. We have the reworked Freddy at number 6. Reworked Freddy, man. What a blessing from Behavior and Rights. One of the best things that happened this year. They really brought him back, didn't they? He has efficient movement, teleportation. Freddy Krueger, barbecue, and chili Freddy Krueger is probably the best character in the game with barbecue and chili already, dude. The fact that he is able to just hook a survivor, see somebody on a jet, teleport to the generator, he's already in another chase. That is absolutely incredible. And Just because like it's just a free way to get on somebody. And we're gonna talk about the snares and the pallets. Both add variety to his gameplay. I like the snares myself, dude. I think pallets are talked about more, but I think snares are underrated as fuck. I wish snares were like fucking, at least given like fucking a little bit more limelight, because I think some of the best anti-looping stuff in this game comes with the snares. I think Snare Freddy is buffed clown. I think the snares are way more useful for anti-looping because of because of how easy to place that they are. You place those snares way faster, and they're in better locations than Clown's gas ever will be. Freddy's snares can shut down jungle gyms if you do them right. I have done that. So I think what Freddy offers is a very boosted lethality, as well as boosted movement. Because the Freddy Krueger, you're probably going to be in a lot more chases than not, just because he can easily go over and get to that next survivor. He can easily do that. So you're going to really just be able to maximize your time, minimize your time patrolling, maximize your time in chases. So even if a survivor is giving you trouble, the fact that you're bringing a jump rope add-on, probably Thanatophobia too after the nerfs that his add-ons were just given. So like you have that extra boost to that generator regression speed, can give you the time you need to deal with that troublesome survivor. And plus, you're not just baseline killer; you have stuff now to slow them down, work with the chase. So he has the subversion combined with generator slowdown and a huge boost to patrolling, so he increasingly saves time. Very time-efficient killer that we have here with Freddy. And like he can even use using the generators as bait in a chase. Like he has so many options. He went from having like no options in the chase to 0 options. And I also like that Freddy was also the beginning of the archetype where you use the first hit as the Oni kind of continue this, kind of, not entirely, but like the first hit is the easier one to do. The first hit is the harder one to do in a lot of situations now. Because like Oni, you have like the blood that can kind of be used to track the survivor for the second hit, and not a lot can be done. Like there's a lot of stuff that that Oni has to get the second hit that he doesn't have to get the first one. But the first one is inherently easier because of perks like monitor and abuse, not knowing who you're playing with, stuff like that. There's a lot of things in this game that make the first hit inherently easier to do. So Freddy putting the survivor in the dream world for the snares to become effective during the second hit was a very good buff. Very good, like not like that's something that you don't hear a lot about, but that's actually a really nice buff that I hope a lot of more killers do in the future, because it's a really nice buff that a lot of killers don't have that, the ability to just get that, make the second hit help and make it a lot easier to get. So that would be Freddy Krueger, ladies and gentlemen. Not this very, very good, very unpredictable killer. Just the skill checks and stuff like can still wake you up, but that actually like that regression means a little more now because he already has baseline regression. So are you willing to give him like even more off of a generator or even more off healing when he could potentially teleport right to you and be on you? Like the fact that skill checks wake you up is something you may have to be a little bit more considerate of now. So I like that they really went through and touched up this character. Very nice. And then so that was number 6. And so number 5, I have the Huntress. Huntress didn't really move because especially since I've been playing her a little bit more now, I see it, dude. I know I'm a console player, so I don't probably see it 100%, but I definitely see it. Huntress can be super quick at getting downs, and then the loops she negates, man, super helpful. One of the best slugging games in the entire game as well. A good add-on for exhaustion. Cause exhaustion with a hatchet throw. Those are really nice add-ons. The iridescent head combination disgusting. Huntress has a lot of shit, dude, and I'm so like dumb for not actually realizing like just how good she was before. Like it even said, like although she's at number 5, like my opinion of her has like gone up drastically. I think she even moved up from my last tier list. I think like I think I had Hag above her in my last tier list, but like it's kind of disrespectful to Huntress. I'm dumb, dude. That's all dumb. I see Huntress's true potential now, and I think a lot of that has to do with me being a console player and not like seeing a good one for like a lot of my life. Because like I haven't seen many good Huntresses, but and I'm not a good Huntress by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not. This footage you're seeing is actually against a bunch of scrubs on my brother's account because I kept getting my ass kicked trying to get it for my good one. Not get my ass kicked, but just not enough to my liking. I wanted like some like very like hard fought matches or just complete destructions, one or the other. So like don't criticize my Huntress. I know I'm not good with her, but I definitely see her power now, and like having the projectile balances out all of her other problems, being the lullaby, which they actually buffed and made non-directional. That wasn't this year. That was a decent change. So it makes her patrolling just a little better. Her patrolling's still ass though. 110 movement speed with like a 42 meter lullaby. Yeah, that's really bad. Whispers is like a necessity if you're gonna play Huntress because you gotta minimize those patrol times as early as you possibly can. Just be in a chase and make that chase fast, which she has the capacity to do to save, get a little time back. But yeah, Huntress is powerful, but she's also like restricted. So like I think it's one of the interesting aspects of her design. And I just wish I'd seen it earlier to be back with the rest of the crew, dude. I'm out of the loop. I'm bad. Definitely don't listen to me. Yeah, don't listen to me, bro. I don't know why you're even listening to this part 2. I should probably encourage you to click on part 3 because I don't have to make a part 3 of this fucking thing. I didn't actually foresee me having to do that, but apparently I do. Alright, so GG's, boys. I'll have to make a part 3 of this fucking crap.